Hey everyone, this is Magic Lover recording for the MTG Noob. Coming at you today with a legacy deck tech for a deck that I've been playing online for a little while. A lot of fun to play, so I figured I'd showcase it in a few matches this week. The deck is centered around very powerful green sorcery, Genesis Wave, which is a wonderful X spell for green that ramps up very quickly when you can generate lots of mana. Basically reveal the top cards of your library, put any permanent, convert mana cost X or less onto the battlefield. So the optimal goal of this is to generate 10 mana, 3 of which goes into the casting cost, and then get an X for 7. So how do we do that? 5 fetches, which I think is fine for being able to consistently hit a Dryad Arbor if I need to, or fetch a basic forest. This is a deck that is already weak enough to wasteland type effects with 4 cradles and 3 temples, generating the majority of the mana in the deck. I forgot I'll put this up here so we can look at the cards a little easier. So Cradle, generating, basically you want a lot of creatures, and Temple, you want to use that to untap Cradle, get an extra use out of it. 2 utility lands that are helpful in Legacy these days, Caracas and Boseiju. Boseiju essentially allows you to get off that Genesis Wave that can't be countered. So it's great for control style decks where you've got a few creatures out and one Genesis Wave, but they're holding up force or counterbalance or something. Not that counterbalance usually hits a Genesis Wave, but you get the idea. Couple ways to find Cradle and Temple. One through artifacts. Expedition Map is handy in the deck, as well as 4 crop rotations, which gets you whatever you don't already have. Candelabra of Tawnos is a good non-creature based way to untap multiple lands. Hopefully you're untapping a Gatus Cradle and a Deserted Temple. Speaking of untapping, 3 Garruk Wildspeakers that untap 2 lands. Which is very helpful in getting another wash and rinse and repeat cycle out of Cradle, Temple, untap Cradle. A couple other things in here. 4 Fist of Ironwoods, which at first looks like a very underpowered card, but it's in here for one specific reason, and that is for 1 colorless and 1 green, it provides 2 creatures. And since creature count is the name of the game with this deck, it is a great 2-drop for being able to make sure that you get 2 creatures for the Cradle count. The Trample comes in handy once in a while, but more often than not I'm casting this on an opponent's creature, so that if they want to kill the creature in response to deny me the tokens, they have to do it at least to their own creature. In terms of other creatures, Eternal Witness. This is very handy by being able to get back things that have either been duress, thoughtseized, killed, wastelanded away. Typically off a Genesis Wave, you will find a Witness, which can bring back the wave and rinse and repeat if you didn't get enough of what you needed to kill him the first time. Also, Xantid Swarm, a pretty good 1-drop to be able to help get through against counterbalance or just prevent opponents from doing stuff at your end step, tying up their mana. But, and then can be thrown in the way of a flying, Gristlebrand or something if you just need to buy time. So not a bad little 1-drop. Nest Invader, same thing as the Fist of Ironwood. It's a 2-drop that provides 2 creatures. This has a slight edge over Fist because not only does it provide 2 creatures, but one of them can be sacked for mana. So this kind of ends up being like a Soul Ring kind of effect, in that if you cast Nest Invader, you actually then get 3 mana off the Cradle. So if your first turn is like Forest, Noble Hierarch, then the next turn you can put down Cradle, tap the Noble Hierarch and the Forest to put down a Nest Invader, and then tap the Cradle for 3 to put down an Expedition Map and a Fist of Ironwood. So by turn 3, if you have a Garruk or Candelabra or Magus or something, you can generate a stupid amount of mana, which is the goal of the deck. Noble Hierarch, just one of the best green 1-drops ever to be able to accelerate. And then, not coincidentally, that Exalted can add up, so if you have a couple Hierarchs and a Xantid Swarm, hanging away in the air for a couple of turn, or 4 on the ground does add up. Magus of the Candelabra, another Candelabra of Tawnos style effect, hence the name. But this does count towards the creature count, which is handy. Makes it a little more frail, but it is handy. I am playing a 2-2 split, 2 Candelabras and 2 Magus. That would be 4 Magus if it were in real life, since I don't have any paper copies of Candelabra, since they're a little pricier in real life than online. 2 finishers of the deck, Elish Norn and Avenger of Zendikar. Both are the reasons that you Genesis Wave for 7 optimally, so that if you hit either of these top of the curves, pretty much this can wrath your opponent's board and make your guys a quickly insurmountable army. Same thing with Avenger. It makes spot removal pretty useless, so your army can grow pretty quickly. And even though Garruk is great at accelerating with the untapped 2 target lands, it's worth noting that probably half the games I win, they're fighting me on not resolving a wave, or killing enough to unresolve it, and I'll just get enough creatures in play, peck away a couple times, and then use his ultimate to get in for an alpha strike. In terms of sideboard activity, this really isn't tuned for any specific meta or game. This is just for tournament practice room, but I jam 4 ley lines in here, which I can hardcast, but they're pretty handy for anything like Epic Storm, Ant-based, Storm, something that needs to target you. So these come in against like red deck wins, anything that's gonna attempt to target you and beat you up that way. 3 Acidic Slimes, this comes in against anything like Stoneblade or Batterskull or Affinity. Show and Tell with Omniscience, it's great for, they show and tell Omniscience, you show and tell this, and that tends to be disappointing for them. Scavenging Ooze comes in great against, graveyard-based strategy, along with the Bajuka Bog, and anything where it's attrition fight like Rug Delver, I'll bring in Stronghold just to be able to keep getting, key things back and hopefully out-attrition them. And Kitchen Finks, another good utility card, comes in against like red deck wins, either creature-based or something like Zoo, which you don't see a lot of online, but if the life gain is important, pretty handy. So anyway, that's the deck, and I'll throw up some games of it in the practice room, and hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching.